Okay, so Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Okay, today I will teach you on the chapter 3, which is financing decision and efficient market hypothesis. So this is the last part, which is part 3. So we will learn on this chapter on the challenges, which is in behavioral and empirical, and we have to learn on some the implication of this chapter. So we will go on the next slide. Okay, first we will learn on the behavioral challenge to market efficiency. So the first one is rationality. So rationality dalam behavioral challenge to market efficiency ni, investor on the whole are rational. When new info released in the marketplace, all investors will adjust their estimate of stock price in rational way. They behave in the identical manner and take quick action to buy or sell securities. So ini orang-orang yang macam ni kita boleh consider as rational, which mean that bila dia nampak new info, dia akan react dengan begitu cepat, which means that dia akan beli ke, dia akan jual ke on the new information yang dah release. So, independent deviation from rationality ni pula, the market still can be efficient assuming the action of those action of those irrationally optimistic are offset by of those irrational pessimistic. Okay, sekarang first thing yang you kena tahu, apa tu irrational optimistic and apa tu group yang irrational pessimistic. Okay, irrational optimistic, contoh saya bagi dalam satu keadaan. When good news, share price akan increase, and the optimistic person will believe yang share of price akan increase in the future. So itu adalah orang yang dia akan positif, which means that irrational optimistic dia more positive, but irrational pessimistic dia lebih kepada negative side. Contohnya macam, okay, contoh harga share price sekarang RM5. So untuk IO ataupun we consider as irrational optimistic is IO, and untuk irrational pessimistic we call as IP. Okay, untuk IO, bila harga share price sekarang RM5, IO ni dia akan invest and dia akan ada satu pemikiran yang harga of share price akan increase lagi, which mean that kalau sekarang RM5, mungkin nanti next month or next share price akan jadi RM8. So ini adalah irrational optimistic. Tapi kalau irrational pessimistic, dia akan believe yang share price akan jatuh. Contoh daripada RM5 dia jadi RM2. So pessimistic ni dia lebih takut untuk mengambil risiko. Tapi kalau IO dia positif, and then bila dia positif dia sanggup untuk take higher risk. So bila ada satu contoh this one, dia believe dia next share price akan jadi RM8, this one akan jadi RM5. So untuk sebab harga asal RM5 kan, so untuk IP dia akan jadi RM2. This one just assumption. So harga sekarang adalah RM5. So apa yang kita kata, if many individuals were irrational optimistic as were irrational pessimistic, price would likely rise and in manner consistent with market efficiency. So kalau ada dua ataupun dua group, which mean that there are irrational optimistic and irrational pessimistic, dia akan juga salah satu cara yang boleh menyebabkan market tu menjadi more efficient, disebabkan ada satu yang optimistic, ada satu yang pessimistic, so dia akan dapat maintain the market to be more efficient. Okay, so next, it is continue for the independent deviation from rationality. Dia dah dikeluarkan oleh psychologist ataupun kita boleh kata as past researcher yang argue that people deviate from rationality in predictable way. So, kajian dah dibuat sebelum ni kata person ataupun people yang deviate from rationality disebabkan oleh representativeness and conservatism. So, representativeness drawing conclusion from too small sample observed than the population. Apa yang dimaksudkan ni? Kan disebabkan this chapter kita belajar on the past researcher. Apa yang researcher try untuk figure out tentang market efficiency. So, yang kita belajar behavioural challenges juga, dia yang this part also dikeluarkan oleh past researcher. So, apa yang past researcher dapat temukan kata it's have been draw conclusion daripada too small sample observed than the population. So, maksud dia macam ni. Sebagai contoh, daripada population, it's mean that contoh saya bagi dalam population untuk student account di UiTM Puncak Alam. So, the population mungkin 500 orang. Tapi, the research that have been conduct only focus on, contoh kalau saya nak buat research, and then population untuk keseluruhan budak account adalah 500. Tapi, saya hanya buat dekat kelas saya je. So, it's mean that I only do for 60 people je, 60 orang je. So, it's mean people deviate daripada rationality disebabkan oleh observe yang dibuat oleh past researcher terlalu kecil dia punya sampel. Contoh kalau saya, contoh ibarat saya lah, saya nak buat research tentang kenapa student tak nak ke kelas. So, saya sepatutnya kalau saya nak buat untuk bagi saya punya data ataupun saya punya result tu lagi efficient, saya sepatutnya mengambil sampel yang besar. Tapi daripada 500, saya cuba fokus dekat kelas saya je, which mean that there's only have 50 or 60 people. So daripada 60 orang, daripada 500 orang, so it's not very efficient. So saya tak boleh drawing the efficient result or efficient conclusion. So, disebabkan too small sample observed than the population, this can lead to bubble which are likely overreaction in security prices. So, apa yang dimaksud sebagai bubble ni? Bubble ni, dia macam lebih kepada disebabkan small sample. So, bubble is mean like overreaction of the price. So, disebabkan past researcher has focused on the small sample, so dia akan melibatkan on the share price of the market. So, bila ada share price of the market akan berlaku perubahan, it can be sama ada overreaction or delay. Yang kita ada belajar before this, yang kalau overreaction and delay akan berlaku bila ada ataupun bila firm try to increase terlalu banyak drastically dia punya share price. So it's mean ini juga we can call as leads to the bubbles. And the second one is conservatism. That's mean that people are too slow in adjusting their belief to the new info. Yang kita boleh tahu, orang yang akan respond too slow to earning surprise, dia akan menyebabkan, okay, contoh this one. If you remember the graph, so dia akan jadi, contoh this one is, okay, this one is efficient market. And then bila dia takut nak ni, dia akan jadi macam ni, yang garis putus-putus bawah. Ini kita panggil sebagai delay response. So dia takut untuk mempercayai new informations. So the conclusion yang dapat dikeluarkan oleh past researcher, deviation from rationality are similar across investor. Actually it's the same. Rationality ni same among the investor. Tak ada, mungkin akan ada yang irrational, tapi mungkin the percentage is not too high, as the rationality investor is more high percentage rather than irrational investor. Okay, so this is the third behavioral challenge to market efficiency. So the third one is arbitrage, which means that arbitrage is the practice of taking positive expected return from overvalued or undervalued securities in the inefficient market without any incremental risk and zero additional investment. Okay, apa yang patut tahu dalam arbitrage ni? It means that many investors can act on emotions, cause unrealistic price increase and or decrease, and their action cannot be compared to the professionals whose action dominates the market. Which means that dalam arbitrage ni, dia ada dua pihak yang terlibat. It's a battle between investor, professional investor with the amateur. And then the amateur is the investor. The investor, contohnya professional investor tu macam orang ASB manager yang ada expertise dalam untuk menganalisis ataupun untuk try untuk figure out which the share or which the share price are efficient, and which mean that dia tahu untuk baca the pattern of the share price. That's we call as the professional investor. Tapi kalau amateur tu macam kita investor yang biasa, kita tak ada apa-apa pengetahuan, kita tak ada knowledge, kita tak ada any experience untuk baca pattern of the share price. Itu yang kita consider as investor or amateurs. And the professional is the orang yang ada expertise, dalam membaca pattern of share. So bila kita as investor yang biasa, kita akan beli ikut emotion. Maksud dia, kita dengar je ada info baru ataupun good info, kita terus akan jual kita punya share. Itu adalah kita. So dia akan buat based on emotions. Itu akan menyebabkan kepada unrealistic price. Which means that bila unrealistic price, dia akan increase or decrease the price. So ini adalah kekurangan untuk investor. Tapi kalau professional investor, dia akan act rationally by quickly buying underpriced securities and selling overpriced securities, which ensure the market remains efficiency. So disebabkan wujud ada investor and professional investor, ini akan menyebabkan the market will be efficient. Ini yang dia nak maksudkan dalam arbitrage ni. Okay, next. Just now kita fokus on behavioural challenge. So dia lebih kepada apa sikap ataupun behaviour of the investor. Okay, sekarang kita masuk empirical challenge, which mean that research yang telah dikeluarkan oleh past researcher. So empirical ni lebih kepada past researcher dah come out the research on the market efficiency. So the first is limits to arbitrage. So kita dah belajar tadi apa maksud arbitrage, which mean that the profit, they will earn the profit when the market is inefficiency and dia takkan menghadapi apa-apa sebarang risk. So apa limit kepada arbitrage ni adalah stock price rarely traded at parity or similarity suggest limits to the arbitrage. So it means that susahlah stock price untuk capai tahap untuk provide kepada investor, which mean that investor dia akan dapat satu info yang sama. So it's quite untuk market untuk limitkan arbitrage ni. Okay. So, the second, kita akan fokus on earning surprises, which mean dalam earning surprises, apa maksud dia? Stock price adjust slowly to earning announcement. Sebagai contoh, when company make press conference report on earning, so share price, the company tu takkan simply drastically increase. Contoh, the company have a good news and then dia buat press conference. Bila dia buat press conference, dia akan simply akan increase, right? Dia akan increasekan dia punya share. Tapi for this case, earning surprises, suddenly the stock price adjust slowly to the earnings announcement. So kenapa benda ni berlaku? Disebabkan untuk exhibit conservatism, because they are slow to adjust to the information contained in the announcement. Sebab kadang-kadang investor dia takut untuk terima risk. Bila dia takut untuk terima risk, apa yang company ataupun firm akan buat, dia akan try untuk adjust the information slowly. Dia akan naikkan dia punya stock of price, tapi bukan in drastic way. So it means the company will adjust slowly to the earning announcement. So the third is size. Apa yang past researcher dapat daripada size, dia dapat come out ataupun dia dapat findings yang small market capitalization, which mean that stock yang ada dalam small market capitalization. Small market capitalization ni maksud dia hanya ada kecil je amount capital yang dia ataupun stock yang dia ada. So amount stock yang dia ada untuk small market capitalization adalah sikit. Jadi findings dapat temukan ataupun dia dapat findings yang small market capitalization is outperform stock rather than the large market capitalizations. So ini dari segi size. Untuk market efficiency, dia dapat come out yang small market capitalization, stock yang ada dalam small market capitalization is more better than the large market capitalizations. Okay, so value versus growth. Apa maksud value? Value ni, sebagai contoh, value stock adalah established company. So established company ni maksud dia company yang sedia ada. Company tu memang dah wujud lama dah and very established. Kalau growth ni lebih kepada a new company but they have more project or they have more tender to support their business. So growth company lebih kepada company baru yang tapi dia dah ada banyak projek untuk support dia punya business. Itu adalah growth. Tapi value adalah company yang dah establish yang terlalu lama and boleh handle everything, ataupun in case anything happen in the future, dia boleh tahu cara untuk solve the company. And dalam findings ni, past researcher dapat temukan ataupun they have the findings on their value stock is outperform ataupun more better rather than growth stock. So value stock is more better than growth stock. Maksud dia kat sini, established company which mean that have a stock is more perform rather than the new company yang baru nak tumbuh, which atau kita classify as growth stock. And the differences in average return of this stock is as much as 8% per annum. Okay, so next, crash and bubbles. Okay, so usually soalan ni naik dalam questions, past exam questions, ataupun dalam question test or something else. So ini adalah question yang selalu sangat ditanya. So first you have to know what is crash. Crash ni market crash. Contohnya, ataupun kita cakap sebagai market drop ataupun market vanish. So market tu dah drop. Okay, saya bagi example. For example, kalau orang, if you want to know how the performance of the stock index in Malaysia, we can use the KLCI, which means Kuala Lumpur Currency Index. So dalam KLCI, dia ada show on the stock market index. So apa-apa investor ataupun kalau kita sendiri kita nak tahu stock market index, kita boleh tengok dekat KLCI. So apa yang KLCI dapat tolong kita tentang market crashes? Okay, so this is the real situation. This is, saya tak bagi contoh sebab this one is you will more understand if I give to you the real situation. So before this, in beginning 2018, our KLCI index is 1,800 points, which means that sebelum ni KLCI index kita 1,800 point, which means that apa yang kita boleh gambarkan 1,800? 1,800 tu adalah very good and high. Maksud dia, it's good to have a stock market index in the higher amount. Lagi tinggi amount ataupun lagi tinggi point, menunjukkan kita punya stock market index is more better. So itu before PRU 14, before election. So after PRU 14, our index point decline further and further. So after, kita pun tak tahu kenapa PRU after PRU 14, our index point tu decline from time to time, memang jatuh. And if I'm not mistaken, for now, our stock market index have been 1,300 points. So it means that our market economy is not stable, is not being so good rather than before kita punya election, which mean our before PRU 14 kita punya point tu 1,800, but right now is just 1,300. So the differences is 500 point yang jatuh. Dalam real situation, kalau in Malaysia ni yang 500 point yang jatuh tu, telah menyebabkan billion of capitalization of market loss. Maksud dia nilai-nilai syarikat hilang. Maksud nilai syarikat hilang tu maksud dia dah tak bermakna. Maksud dia sebabkan 500 point, kita dah loss sebanyak billion. So, bila billion, market efficiency kita tu dah terjejas. Ekonomi kita dah terjejas. So, itulah menyebabkan syarikat-syarikat kita tak boleh nak create a value. So, susah lah sebab the differences stock market kita dah jatuh. So, itu we consider as a market crash yang wujud, yang saya boleh cerita in real way in Malaysia. So, stock market price kita daripada 1,800 point dah jatuh kepada 1,300 point, and then 500 differences tu telah menyebabkan billion of capitalization of market loss. And then in this past researcher yang A, B, C semua ni, ini lebih kepada overseas punya pandangan. Sebab past researcher dah dikeluarkan oleh international, yang ni based on past researcher daripada overseas. So ini relate to on their countries. So yang tadi yang I just bagi example the condition of stock market in Malaysia. So what you have to know, the example yang dapat daripada past researcher, market drop between 20% to 25% on Monday following a weekend during a little surprising news was released. So market drop tiba-tiba daripada little surprise news was released. Then there are a drop of this magnitude for no apparent reason is not consistent with the market efficiency. So, sepatutnya dalam kita belajar during market efficiency, which mean waktu market efficiency, mestilah info akan dirilis. And then bila info release, stock price akan react kan? Dia akan react. I just put here as, so stock price akan change. When stock price akan change, ini kita call when as market efficiency. But for right now, dia tak ada news apa-apa, tiba-tiba market drop. So itu yang we call as market crashes. So info tak ada, I just put here, tapi price ada decrease or increase suddenly. Kita tak tahu kenapa, sebab tak ada info yang tetap, and then tiba-tiba price, untuk lagi senang sebab this is crashes, so you have to think that bila info tak ada, tiba-tiba price of share ataupun market drop secara tiba-tiba. So ini we call as market crashes. And then for right now, bila tak ada info and then harga tiba-tiba decline ataupun drop, in this case kita boleh classify dia sebagai market crashes. And then dalam poin ketiga, kita dah kata stock market crashes or drop is the evidence of bubble theory of market speculations. Okay, evidence of bubble theory, you have to remember yang saya kata bubble theory tadi, kita tak tahu suddenly stock price will be increased drastically ataupun decline drastically. Harga untuk stock price tu dia mungkin akan naik atau dia akan berturun secara tiba-tiba. So, bila dia ada secara naik dan tiba-tiba, itu yang kita call as a bubble. So, Apa contoh lain yang kita boleh classify as bubble theory of market speculation? For example, actually investor boleh find in internet stocks. Okay, internet stock. Okay, sekarang ni banyak internet stocks. Sebagai contoh, Google stock.com, Price FB stock.com. So everything dia ada search engine yang provide the internet stock. So usually this internet stock will only last for 2 years only. So dia tak kekal lama macam investor yang invest dalam share price. Usually orang yang invest dekat internet stock usually akan bertahan selama 2 tahun and then they will sold, and then after that they will try to invest in the other platform lah. So itu we call as bubble theory of market speculations. So that is security price sometimes move widely above their true values. Eventually, price fall back to the original level, cause great loss for the investor. So, ini macam biasa yang kita belajar sebelum ni, yang graph tool, which mean that this one untuk bad news. So, suddenly the price will be above. Wait, I just do the graph for good news. So, kalau good news dia macam ni. So, bila good news dia akan naik ke atas ni kalau dia dapat the good news. Maksud dia kalau dia overreact. If we have learned before this one is overreact. So, supposedly dia takat EM ni je, tapi harga dia tiba-tiba naik daripada current value. So, ini we consider as overreact. And price fall back to the original level, causing great losses for investors. So, and market will be do some correction and they will ikut the harga market price, which means that it will give the great losses to the investor. Okay, next. Okay, for temporal anomalies, this is quite interesting empirical challenges because actually in temporal anomalies, past researcher akan figure out is it the calendar have effect on the share price. So ni lebih kepada past researcher untuk tahu adakah kalender hari ke, minggu ke, bulan ke, tahun ke, adakah dia dapat effect the share of the share price of in the market. So, apa findings yang past researcher dah try untuk keluarkan? The first is average stock return in January are higher than in other months for both large and capitalization securities. Maksud dia, untuk small and large capitalization securities yang kita dah belajar tadi, dalam bulan Januari, diorang dapat stock return yang paling tinggi berbanding bulan-bulan yang lain. Okay, this one, the second one, stock return are highest on Wednesday and Friday and lowest in Monday. So, ini adalah based on apa findings yang dah dijalankan oleh past researcher. And the third one, average stock return in US have been negative on Mondays. And average stock return are significantly higher over the first half of the month than over the second half of the month. Maksud dia kat sini, stock return tu waktu 15 hari Okay, dalam sebulan kita anggap ada 30 hari, and then 15 hari awal dia dapat higher, and then rather than the last 2 weeks of the month. Maksud dia 15 hari waktu dah nak habis satu bulan tu, dia dapat stock return yang lower sikit daripada the first half of the month. Maksud dia kat sini, okay, if we can divide it here, ni 15 hari awal, ni 15 hari akhir. So, apa past researcher dapat? 15 hari awal is more better berbanding dengan 15 hari akhir. Ini yang dah dikeluarkan oleh past researcher. Okay, for the implication for corporate finance on the EMH yang kita dah belajar ni, so the first thing, apa implication to the corporate finance, you have to think that actually the changes in account policies, dia tak effect on the price of company stock. So it means that the price of company stock cannot be affected by change in accounting policies. So apa-apa changes, contohnya daripada kita ubah policies daripada straight line to the another policies, dia tak akan effect on our stock price. The second one is the finance manager cannot time the issuance of stock of and bond, which means that the problem is the timing to issue stock when market is inefficient. Apa yang dimaksudkan sebagai market is inefficient? Market is inefficient bila the price of stock is overvalued and or undervalued. So, yang kita dah belajar sebelum ni, kalau efficiency market dalam EMH, dia kena correctly price the stock. Kita dah kira sebelum ni, in chapter 2, kita ada buat perbandingan antara expected return dengan required return dalam CAPM. So, kalau correctly price, maksud dia expected return kena equal dengan required return CAPM. Tapi, therefore, there is hardly any point for managers to time their issuance of stock and bond dalam apa? So, kalau dia dalam efficient market, senanglah kita untuk tahu bila kita nak jual kita punya stock kan. Tapi, dia hardly to know ataupun to time their issuance of stock and bond during inefficient market. So, during inefficient market, which means that price of stock is undervalued or overvalued. So, sekarang cuba you try to jawab this question, which is when is the good time for firms to issue the equity when the market inefficient? Is it during overpriced or underpriced? Which means that this overvalue or undervalue. So, you have to think firm. Bila firm, perspektif firm apa? Dia nak increase dia punya earnings. Bila dia nak increase dia punya earning, so dia akan overprice. So the answer is overprice. During overprice, dia akan issue during overprice. So dia akan dapat keuntungan yang tinggi. Sebab firms dia akan more focus on dia punya share, dia punya value lah, dia punya benefit. Tapi untuk perspektif investor, dia akan choose ataupun dia akan sell dia punya share during the underprice. So this underprice is more kepada investor. I just put here. Okay, dia akan lebih fokus on investor. Tapi kalau overprice lebih kepada firm. So during overprice, firms akan issue the equity. Dia akan sell dia punya equity sebab dia nak dapat abnormal return ataupun dia nak dapat keuntungan yang tinggi. So you have to put in your mind that what is the perspective of the firm, what is the perspective of the investor. Okay, so untuk speculation and efficient market, there's also have implication for corporate finance. So apa dia punya implication adalah if market are efficient, a firm dia boleh jual sebanyak mana bonds and share yang diorang nak without depress the price. Sebab kita dalam in this chapter EMH kita ada belajar when come a new info, so dia akan try untuk daripada new information kita akan tahu whether the stock price increase or decrease. So for the corporate finance, if market are efficient, which means that their expected return equal to required return, so the firm boleh jual as much as the bond or share yang diorang nak jual. So the fourth is information in market price, which means that current and past price of any asset are known and can be used to forecast future market price. So ini yang kita ada belajar in this chapter. Market efficiency implies the stock reflect all available informations. So info yang kita dapat tu dia akan reflect on the stock price. So ini adalah implication for corporate finance. Okay, so we will continue on what the EMH does and does not say. There is a misconception about EMH. So the first is the efficiency of dart drawing, which is that investor control darts to select stock. This is almost but not quite true. On average, the investor will not able to achieve an abnormal or excess return. So, kenapa dia tak boleh achieve an abnormal excess return? Because all information have been spread into the market. So, everyone have know ataupun kalau dalam strong market efficiency, semua orang, even the market also dah tahu apa info yang akan disampaikan. So actually the investor will not able to achieve an abnormal or excess return, and investor must still decide how risky a portfolio he wants based on the risk aversion and the level of expected return. Okay, this one on the risk and return kita dah belajar in chapter 2. So investor kena decide untuk how risky a portfolio yang dia nak. So for example, kalau dia nak higher expected return, dia kena involve with higher risk, higher ER. So higher ER, I just put here E, and dia kena face with the higher risk juga. So ini yang kita kena ataupun the investor have to do. So kalau dia nak higher expected return, dia kena involve with higher risk. Okay, so the second one is price fluctuations. Maksud dia investor, dia assume that this fluctuation indicate market inefficiency. So maksud dia kat sini, ini bukan salah satu contoh market inefficiency. Tak semestinya kalau ada kejatuhan harga disebabkan harga, contoh market share jatuh daripada RM8 jatuh ke RM5. So bukan price fluctuation indicate the market efficiency. Actually, market is inefficient ataupun efficient sebab the information. Kan kita ada belajar dalam EMH, the stock price is reflected on the information that we get, ataupun harga dah dipengaruhi oleh information yang kita tahu. So disebabkan kita boleh tahu sama ada market is efficient ataupun market is inefficient. So, bukan disebabkan price fluctuation tapi disebabkan oleh information itself. Okay, the third one is shareholders disinterest. Apa maksud dia? Since only small number of investors active trade on any given day, some people misconceive that the market is inefficient. Okay, so macam saya cakap tadi, sebenarnya number of investor tak menunjukkan bahawa market tu inefficient. Market is efficient or market is inefficient because of the information yang kita dapat. So kalau they have a good news, so the share price of the stock price will be increased. Tapi kalau they have a bad news, so the stock price will be decline ataupun will be reduced. Securities can be expected to be efficient price as long as number of interest traders use the publicly available information. As I said before, efficient or inefficient market is depends on the information that we get. So you have to put in your mind that EMH is the stock price reflect from the information that we get. Okay, so I think that's all for the chapter 3, part 3. So this is last part for the videos. I hope all of you can understand and can do some revision on this part so that you will be more clear. And I think that's all. Thank you and have a great day.